Hey guys, it's Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do the July Recommends Female Empowering Lead. I will list the Goodreads group down below where they list the topics for each month. Like I said, the month of July, the topic is empowering female leads. Alright, let's go ahead and get into it. What are you doing? What are you doing? First book I'm going to recommend is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab, or the whole series in general. The female character in this, Delilah Bard, is absolutely amazing. She basically proves time and time again that she's not going to let anything in this world or other worlds stop her, especially the fact that she's a woman. And I just like Delilah Bard because she's super strong, she's super badass, and she makes the impossible possible. The next lady I'm going to mention is, of course, one of my favorites of all time, and that is Celaena Sardothien from the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J. Maas. The thing that I find so empowering about Celaena is that Celaena is so multifaceted. Celaena represents all of the different stereotypes that women are fit into. She's tomboy, she's a badass, she's a girly girl, she's a bookworm, she's all of these things together, and she gushes over guys that she thinks are cute, but she can also kill a man with her bare hands. And I love how well written she is. She's so dynamic. She represents how diverse and how dynamic the personalities of women are. And I like that she's not this cookie cutter stereotype for women, and that's one of the things I fell in love with immediately about Celaena. The next book I'm going to mention is Katniss from the Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I won't go too much into this one because I don't think there's a single person in the entire world who doesn't know about Katniss and the series, but I find Katniss incredibly empowering in her role in the revolution, but I like how the emotion she brings to the revolution is really empowering to me because as a character she's not afraid to admit that she's scared for the people she loves, that she's willing to die for the people she loves, that she's hesitant to become this symbol. And I like that. I like how emotional Katniss's inner monologue is, while her outer monologue is typically just sassy. But I really like that because it adds a lot of depth to her character, and I like that women can see this, awesome girl who comes from the poor, comes from poverty, rise up to be an absolute hero. The next book I'm going to mention is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. Of course, this is super feminist and I love it. It basically tells the story of two sisters and the resistance they each played, the role they each played in a form of resistance during Nazi-occupied France during World War II, and I absolutely loved it. The sisters are so different from each other, but the bond between them and how the story highlights that and how the story tells the different sides of the roles that women played in the war, one of them being an active resistance woman, one being a little bit more passive. I really loved that, and as a woman, I was really proud to be able to relate to both Vianne and Isabel. The next book I'm going to mention is Blue Plate Special by Michelle D. Kwasny. Not a lot of people talk about this book, but I actually really love this book. This tells the story of 3 different women in 3 different time periods over the course of the 20th and 21st century, and it's basically about them each dealing with their own struggles. One of the characters is overweight and she deals with body issues. One of the characters comes from an abusive home and she deals with that. And it's basically just about how these women traverse the struggles that they're going through and the emotional trauma that they've each endured. And I loved this book, and I love the relationship it portrays between family and friendship, and it's just super empowering. I absolutely love this book, and I loved the 3 female characters, and I loved their strength in dealing with all of the issues that they go through, and I just absolutely love this book. The next book I'm going to mention is my childhood favorite, and that is the Glen Valley series by Patrick Carman. The main character, Alexa, is fairly young as she basically goes on this journey to save her entire kingdom from the forces of evil. And I basically read this series from start to finish as it was being published when I was about 9 or 10 to when it completed when I was about 13, 14 maybe. And I was so inspired by Alexa because Alexa is so fearless in the face of danger, and she can do anything, and she, feeds off of the strength of her friends and her friendships, and she's so strong, and she's goes on this journey to save her kingdom. And as a young girl, I loved that. I loved going on this journey with Alexa and being shown that women can do whatever they want, even save an entire universe. I was always very inspired by Alexa as a little girl, and I think a lot of girls would find inspiration in her as well. The next series I'm going to mention is A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin. I find plenty of the female characters in these series to be incredibly empowering. There's Daenerys, who is, of course, a badass. She becomes a badass Dothraki queen, and even after that, she still is on this rampage to reclaim her throne, and she is not afraid to take down anyone she needs to. And aside from that, there's also the Starks, Arya, and Sansa, who are both incredibly empowering and strong in their own ways. Sansa is one of my favorite characters of all time. I absolutely love her. I love her strength and how she keeps enduring, and I find that you can gain so much strength through her struggles, and I love that. And of course, I find Cersei very empowering in a way too, because she's a brilliant female villain whose reasonings are just miraculous. I think George R. R. Martin writes phenomenal female characters. I really do. And so I would definitely suggest this if you're looking for a high fantasy recommendation that has some awesome ladies in it. The next book I'm going to recommend is Vengeance Road by Erin Bowman. This, of course, follows Kate Thompson as she is hunting down a group of bandits who murdered her father. Hence the title, Vengeance Road. But I loved Kate. I loved Kate from page one. I loved that she really didn't hesitate to jump on her horse and decide to track down these bandits. She's such a badass, but she's also heavily flawed. There's so many things about Kate that, kind of aren't exactly good qualities. She really, she shoots her gun first, asks questions later, and that definitely gets her into a lot of trouble. But I just loved how unapologetic Kate was, and I love how outside of her comfort zone she gets with a lot of things in this book, such as her dealings with the young Apache girl and the brothers, and I just loved how Kate traversed the world of Vengeance Road, and I was rooting for her every step of the way, and I walked out of this book going, I want to be a badass Western gunslinger. So I absolutely love Kate, and for that reason it's on this list. The next book I'm going to mention is one I actually haven't read yet, but I've been lucky enough to meet the author, and I know for a fact that this is a very empowering female book, and for that I'm going to recommend Dumplin by Julie Murphy. I do want to read this book eventually, I just haven't gotten around to it, but this follows Willow Dean, who is a plus-size woman who basically is incredibly in love with herself. She has her beauty on the inside and out, and she basically decides to enter a beauty pageant. And I know from meeting Julie Murphy at SEYA this past March that this book is meant to just promote body positivity and promoting loving yourself and promoting that plus size is beautiful, and for that reason it has to go on this list. The final book I'm going to recommend is a book I'm sure everyone's going to be putting on this list, and that is the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. I find plenty of women in this series super empowering. There's Hermione, there's Professor McGonagall, there's Molly Weasley. I mean, I think a lot of these females are just as tough, just as smart, just as caring as all of the men in these books, and you know what? Let's just be honest here. If it weren't for Hermione, Harry and Ron wouldn't have even made it to their second year at Hogwarts, okay? So I think this is great, especially for young girls who are picking this up for the first time, and they're reading about Hermione and Professor McGonagall, and they're reading about all of these awesome female wizards, Rowena Ravenclaw and Helga Hufflepuff, and reading about all of these badass females who basically contribute heavily to the story. They protect Harry in a lot of ways by just being awesome. And I absolutely love the females in the series, and I think this is so critical for young girls to read because it shows them that you can be smart and be a badass. You can be, you know, anything you want, and you can still be the hero. And I absolutely love it. Alright guys, so those were all of my empowering female leads. I actually had to cut down a lot of them. I thought of a lot that I thought were very empowering, which was awesome. I was so excited to see that. But you guys should let me know down below what are your favorite empowering female leads, or if there were any female characters that you heavily associated with and that just made you so happy to be a woman and so happy to, you know, just celebrate women. And so, alright, I'll see you guys soon with another video. Bye!